Okay. Good evening, everyone. Notice hereby given the City Council of the City of Alpine, Texas will hold a regular meeting at 5:30 p.m. on December 21st, 2021 in City Council chambers at 803 West Holland Avenue in the City of Alpine, Texas, for the purpose of considering the attached agenda. This notice is posted pursuant to the Texas Open Meeting Act, Government Code 551.043. Public notice: the use of cellular phones and electronic equipment is prohibited in the city council chambers during meetings and of the city council, except for purpose explicitly authorized by state law. Texas Government Code Section 551.023. This meeting will be conducted in accordance with official rules of decorum for city council meetings available at www.cityofalpine.com/decorum. Public comments are limited to the public comment and public hearing section of the agenda. Individuals who wish to address the city council may do so by completing a public council comment card and by placing the complete card in the city secretary's desk not later than 5 minutes before the commencement of the meeting. The public comment card may also be completed online at www.cityofalpine.com/council.comments. A public comment card is not required for speakers who wish to comment on public hearing items. When speakers are acknowledged, please approach the microphone at the podium and state your name and ward for the record. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, and a bell will signal the end of each speaker's time. Please conclude speakers' comments promptly when the bell rings. State law generally prohibits the council from discussing or taking any action on any issue not included on the agenda, but if appropriate, the council may schedule the topic for future discussion or refer the matter to staff. No personal attacks on council members or city staff will be allowed. The mayor and/or city council members may call a point to order to stop personal attacks. If an individual continues to personally attack an elected official or staff member in a meeting, they may be barred. All the speaking to order. Everybody, please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you all very much. City Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mayor, all council members are present. The notice of this meeting was posted on December 17th at 2 p.m.
Okay, do we have any public comments?
No, sir, we don't.
Okay, we have no presentations. I don't have a report. City Attorney?
I'll make a comment when the agenda item comes up, but nothing otherwise.
Okay. City Manager?
Not at this time.
City staff updates?
Not at this time.
Public hearings? Consent?
None. Sorry.
None. Okay, consent agenda, minutes, financial reports, department written reports, board appointments, etc. Notice to the public. The following items are of routine administrative nature. The council has been furnished with background and support material in each item and/or it has been discussed at a previous meeting. All items will be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a council member, in which event the item or items will immediately be withdrawn for individual consideration in its normal sequence. Items will be adopted by one vote, and we have none, correct?
Correct.
Okay, information or discussion, we have none. Action items to be accompanied by a brief statement of facts, including where funds are coming from, if applicable. City Manager.
He gets mad at me. Approve emergency resolution 2021-12-09, a resolution implementing emergency measures to ensure the continuance of emergency medical services to protect the public health and safety of the residents of Alpine.
Okay. I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve emergency resolution 2021-12-09.
Okay, a second? Second. Okay, motion's made and second. Discussion.
So just so you're aware, we did receive word early last week in regards to West Texas Ambulance Service. Officially, they were no longer in operation December 5th. Jessica can carry it on until the end of this month. She has tried her best. She will help with anything moving forward, but it's not her company or business. And unfortunately, with the passing of Michael Scudder, the business has terminated. We do have Greg Hennington here, who has graciously stepped up and has offered to provide services for the North Brewster County area. It's not just the city of Alpine. We have spoken with him from the county and the city in order to ensure we continue these services, especially during these times, for the residents of North Brewster County. The contract that was presented to you in the packets and to the public as well is the exact same contract that we were operating under West Texas Ambulance Service. The difference with it is I removed the long-term renewal, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. I did update it to just 120 days. During that time period, all of the entities are working together to put a task force together to ensure after the 120 days that there is something in place long-term for North Brewster County. One of the things I added last minute, I do apologize, in the exhibits is Exhibit B. That just shows you what originally was the service area. This is the city limits. The county will be providing almost identical to what we have provided. I did forward copies to the county so that they could see. The reason for what is considered an emergency resolution is the procurement process. Because this is a legal, or we had a legal contract, and it's no longer valid, we would have to go out for procurement. Because this is a public health and safety issue, the state of Texas does allow us to bypass that procurement for that reason. This is a public health and safety. We need to ensure that when our residents call 911, that there is someone there to help them and to treat them and to get them to the destination they need to go. Otherwise, we would be going out for an RFP. That does take several months. Once this task force is officially put together, it will be working with everyone to determine how are we going to move forward, what options do we have, do we go out for RFP, is another entity going to step up and take over all of it? It's a pretty big conversation to have with a lot of unanswered questions. This does include the hospital, it does include the hospital district, the county, the city. So everyone is very well aware. So what's before you is just a slightly altered documentation contract. I did forward it to everyone. The compensation is currently the same as what we have budgeted, but if you read in there, it does include that if the city wants to make a change, same as the last contract. I just wanted to make sure that we understand moving forward, we may not be able to get the services at the same cost. I can't say lower, but it may be a lot higher. That's typically what's happened. But if you do have technical questions or concerns, or you want Greg, he's here, and I'm grateful because he wasn't going to be. So please don't pull him over, Daryl, when he speeds out of town. There's a lot of legal sides to this with Terlingua EMS stepping up to take over this temporarily. There is one part of this contract, Section H, that does indicate that they can't contract outside the city without the city's permission. They are contracted for down south. So I would like the city to be aware that they still provide services down south. That is their primary. They are Terlingua EMS, but they have put in procedures and steps to ensure that they can cover for 120 days.
Okay,
How fast do you think you're going to get this task force together?
We meet next week if you approve the ordinance or resolution today.
okay.
Question for Mr. Hennington, as far as it did state on there that there would be within the service area, the ambulances. So you will have some station here in Alpine as well as down south?
Yeah, so our plan is just to really not make any changes to what's already here. And we will lease a couple of the ambulances from Jessica. And the same ones you're using now, we'll lease those as part of the package. And we'll operate those until the 120 days. And so after the 120 days, the new entity can decide what they want to do with those ambulances, continue to lease them, buy them, turn them back in, whatever. It's very difficult right now. If you ordered an ambulance today, it takes you about a year to get it.
The city has been trying to get a couple of ambulances for a while, and they're having a very hard time doing it. So you don't want to give these ambulances up.
So we would just operate it with what they already have.
And where they're gonna be housed at, Greg?
We're gonna have the ambulances at the fire station.
Okay,
So there'll be a couple of bays there and there's, as I understand, there's showers and restrooms there for the staff. We're a little short on bunk rooms, but we'll figure that out this next week.
okay. Any more questions?
You don't foresee problems.
Oh, well, I mean, it's a mess
You
operation.
don't foresee problems that'll stop it from happening.
No, I don't think so.
We are going to vote for this and we want to put you in
Well,
because I might need an ambulance. And if I dial 911, I want somebody showing up to come help me.
well, these folks behind me, I'm hoping, you know, that they'll,
Remember don't hurt my phone.
that they'll stay and we'll supplement. I mean, they can't work 24 hours a day, so
Right.
7 days a week, so we'll supplement with some of our staff. We have a week on, week off program at Turner Fire and EMS, so the guys that are on their week off, I'm sure that they're interested in picking up a little extra
They'll step up.
money. And that'll help them and they'll help us out, so we'll figure it out. We're not gonna do anything different or any unusual, we're not gonna change anything.
Well, it's gonna help
Protocols,
Alpine out,
Yeah,
so thank
that's
you.
all
Thank you
really
for
just kind
stepping
of
up.
overseeing.
And y'all have all the licenses and all the.
We have all
permits.
licenses, and the key here is the Medicare, so we're a licensed Medicare provider, free hospital provider, and so the only change, and these guys behind me know, that we'll ask for is, we do all of our patient care reports electronically. So our AIM units have tablets, so we come to your house and we can just tap it into a tablet and send it up. And it just makes life a lot easier, because then our billing company then immediately gets that the next morning and can bill the appropriate insurance company or Medicare for that call. So that'd probably, that would be the only thing we would make a change to. But other than that, it's pretty much the same old.
As Megan said, there might be issues in trying to get something. If the task force is unable to do anything in 120 days, which is really not that long, are you prepared to help us out a little bit longer?
That's a good question. You know, I mean, I think any conversation can be had. I'll be honest with you, we as a entity didn't want to go out any further than 120 days because we sort of wanted to put the pressure to get it
Right.
resolved, because this is going to strain our resources some. I would tell you that anything is negotiable,
Okay.
and I don't think we're the kind of folks that would just go, well, we're done. But we may have to have a serious conversation if we're not getting anything done, you know, before, 2 days before the contract expires. I'm pretty optimistic that we've got some really good options to look at in terms of where this might go. And I think we've got to look at it, what's with the EMS over the next 20 years instead of what's today. How do we make this a great organization over the next 20 years? So, we probably have 5 or 6 different ways to look at this, and if we need to take that time to do it, I think we can get it done in under 20 days.
Well,
Yes, I had a good conversation this morning with Rick Flores at the Alpine Bristol County Hospital. And he's optimistic about having some meaningful conversations with the city and with Terlingua Medics and the hospital district and the county and getting everybody involved to try to come up with a solution that can involve the hospital and the hospital emergency room and everything else, and in a meaningful way. So he wants to help too.
Well, I agree with Mrs. Stokes. We do thank you for stepping up and helping us out. I know this was something that nobody expected, and it's going to be really hard for you, and we appreciate you stepping up and helping us this way.
Judy, it might be me showing up at your house. That's scary. Okay?
Any more comments or questions? Greg, want to thank you very much, because from day one, you stepped up to the plate
Yeah, thank you.
and you said what you were gonna do. So the city really appreciates what you're doing. And the service will continue as usual. So we won't have any fallbacks or anything like that. So,
All right, we're gonna get through Christmas and then we'll be up there next week, getting the final plans for it.
okay. Well, again, thank you very much, sir, for
Have a Merry
what you're
Christmas.
doing.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You have a Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Y'all be safe going back.
Enjoy your party.
I do. Okay.
Okay. Any more questions, comments? None?
What
Okay.
do these guys think? What do y'all think?
I'm sorry?
What are your
Excuse me?
thoughts? Can I ask them that?
No, I can. Go ahead.
What are our thoughts?
What are y'all's thoughts? Y'all are the workers. It's not me that's gonna be in these ambulances.
Well, with the situation that happened with Mike, unfortunately, I don't know how many of us will be staying around like for ambulance services. But we've got people to supplement, which will be good, just because of, the situation, how everything transpired, with the hospital and with Mike and everything. That was a lot to handle.
Pretty traumatic, I know.
Yeah, and so, but I think, they've got a great plan that they're working on putting forward. And I think, as long as we get a plan for long-term, like you said, because, Alpine EMS, the West Texas ambulance is working really good, and that's kind of what it's been for, however long.
40 years.
And now we're gonna have to get something out. There's a big hole. And unfortunately with EMS, it's a hole that needs to be filled immediately, but you don't want to put just anything there.
Right.
So I think, definitely having something in place for when people call 911 for an ambulance is a great plan. And then have something for the long term that, in 20 years from now, your kids or your grandkids, when they call 911, if there's an emergency, you trust those people with their lives. I think that's something to make sure to consider.
I think Greg will keep this area covered, like you said, for at least the next 120 days. But y'all have a big decision to make on who or what to put in their place.
And I'm afraid with limited resources that we're gonna have.
Yeah.
We're not gonna have 8,000 people out here wanting to do it. I know.
Yeah, that's the problem with EMS currently is we were so short-staffed because nobody wants to do EMS services currently, that we have a record number of low entrants into EMT and paramedic licenses, and not just Texas.
Right.
Texas.
Yeah, nationally, and so it's really hard to find people, and so that's why the state's offering these multiple levels of variances and stuff to get these holes filled, so that when people call 911, so it's not an easy task, I know that, so but it's something, it's gonna be a hard job to do.
Right.
I think
Well,
that, honestly, it's great that we have Greg. We're thankful that he's out here wanting to help us out and his crew. I mean, many times you see a lot of departments that like to have rivalries and say different things and, have that same feeling of working together, but at the same time, got a little bit of competition. But definitely in this time that we need all this help, it's good having Greg out here, being a part of it and stepping up and his crew and everything. I think that this is the second time I've been in a situation like this, back in Lubbock, in my hometown where my parents live. I remember being about 16, 17 years old and having the same issue with something with the fire department and EMS there. And people that were running it all just kind of were like, no, we can't. And it worries me because even to this day, they still have that issue. And that's been good, nearly 10 plus years, I think, since that happened. I know that we can figure this all out. And I think it's giving us a time frame to figure all of it out. We're
Right.
having a task force set up and making that work is going to be interesting. And personally for me, I'm going to try to be here because it's my community. This is where I'm living right now, and I'd like to take care of the people that are here. They expect to see me, whether they see me once or twice, or that's the only time they're going to see me. Like to everybody know that the guy with blue hair is going to come pick him up.
Well, thank you all for sticking around and helping.
Yeah, and I want
No,
to
this is
thank Alpine Ambulance Service. I know it'll terminate at the end of the month, but they've been in business for like 40 years, I think, close to 40 years, and you guys included in that time frame. But y'all had done a fantastic job and a great service to the city of Alpine. So that I'd like to applaud you for being there for our folks when they're in need of an ambulance. But again, thank you all very much. And we'll get through this. And I know that Megan with her task force, they'll come up with us with a firm solution to continue with the services. Any comments?
Our fire service is 100% covered though. That's not an issue and has not been an issue. So you call 911 for a fire and for an ambulance, someone's gonna be there.
Right. And that's something that I want to assure the city, the public actually, that the ambulance service will continue to operate. And without, skipping a beat, there was some concerns. I got some phone calls. What's going to happen? I says, it'll continue as usual. And then with Greg Hennington stepping up to the plate, it'll continue for another 120 days till we can come to a resolve. But again, we'll get through it.
Yes, sir.
Any more comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Against? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. City council member comments. We'll start with Jerry on the left side.
I don't really have any comments other than to continue to wish everyone a happy holidays and Merry Christmas, and thank the staff for what they're doing to make the city better, and the council for what we're doing to make the city better. And our attorney.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Merry Christmas.
Nothing.
I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and thank Megan and Gio and the city of Alpine for our wonderful gifts.
Judy.
Say Merry Christmas, everybody have a good holiday. Gio, have a
Yeah.
good time.
Want to thank everybody here, especially Megan and Gio, for the great job they're doing here in the city. We're progressing forward. Never missed a beat. Actually, I think we added a few beats extra, but everything is positive. And I want to wish everybody happy holidays and a happy new year if I don't see you all. So with that said, meeting adjourned.
You forgot to say that I'm taking all January off.
Yeah, right. We're still recording. We have to, we'll find you.
Yeah.